It's wonderful to be with all of you this evening, and my name is Julie Little, and I'm the Guidance Department Chair at the high school. We've enjoyed meeting with your children throughout the year. It's been a great pleasure working with you and your children throughout the process. I know many of them attended our visits with colleges, in the military, and some of our career visits. And we look forward to having those throughout the year. And we also enjoy hearing from you. So we thank you. We know you're partners with us in this journey, so we thank you very much. Now, I know many of you attended the Bridgewater State University presentation a few weeks ago. That was a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about the college process. But this evening, we're going to learn about our process. We're very proud at Attleboro High School that we have a number of students that go into college or military or career. The most important thing is that we want to make sure that your child has a plan for when they graduate. So that is what we do, and we look forward to working with you throughout this next year. One of the questions that we get quite often is, as a parent or guardian, how can I help? What do I do? What is my role? And one of the things that I'm going to tell you is that the very first thing is encourage your child to begin the process. Sometimes we get the question, should I start now? Is now a good time? Should I wait until senior year? But the answer is starting now is the way to go. We've been meeting with juniors in groups. We'll be meeting with them individually. They've been doing a great job with all of our visits. So now is definitely the time to begin. So that was our first tip for you. The second thing is during these times, one of the things that we rely on is our email. So we have weekly email communication that goes out. If you haven't received an email, just reach out to us. We'll make sure that your email address is correct on file. We have junior updates that go out to parents and students, so we encourage you to look for those. If you haven't received them, reach out to us and we'll make sure that your email address is correct on file. But that's where we can communicate with you. During this pandemic, one of the things that we learned is that email is a really good source of communicating. So we will put different visits that are going on, scholarship opportunities, various different things. So please look out for those updates. Another thing that we recommend is using our college and career planning tool, Naviance. Ms. Gerald will go into that a little bit more in detail further on in the presentation, but we do definitely recommend that. We also have something called the Parent Brag Sheet. It's actually one of my favorite sheets, and we love it when we get it back from parents. Basically, it's an opportunity for you to brag about your child. We take that information and then we do use that with our recommendations. We always learn something new, so we really thank you for taking the time to do that, and we would really appreciate getting that back from you. We'd also like you to keep us informed. As we talked about earlier, we are partners with you. We like to hear your good news, and we like to hear some news that's not so good sometimes, so that we can help. One of the things that you're going to hear this year and next year is the more that we can communicate back and forth, the better off we'll all be. So definitely, we'd love to hear from you, whether it's phone or email. We really do appreciate that. Another thing that you can encourage your child to do is writing thank you notes. It's just a nice thing to do. That could be when you go on a college visit or you go on a military visit. Be sure to thank that person. I think it's definitely the right thing to do, and that is something that we do work with your children on. The last thing, and I know this is really hard because I'm a parent too, but it's time for your child to really let them lead the process. This is very difficult because as parents we like to help out. And you can absolutely be there to help and support and guide. But colleges and the military and your employers, they want to hear from the children. They want to hear from your son or daughter. So that's really important to kind of take away. So some things to remember about that. They will probably want to have a professional email. So when they reach out to the colleges or they reach out to the military recruiter, it's an appropriate professional email. Let them make that phone call. Let them do that email. We know it's hard. We will help you every step of the way, and we look forward to working with you. I'm going to now turn things over to Mrs. Janowski.
Hi, as Mrs. Little said, I am Mrs. Janowski. I work upstairs in the House 3 Guidance Office. So to piggyback on what Mrs. Little was saying with letting your student drive the process, we like to refer to this as your children's selfish time. We really want them to think about what works for them in terms of their post-secondary plans. And that can look like a lot of different things. That can look like four-year college, that could look like a two-year college, that could look like a technical college, that could look like a various amount of different branches in the military. It could even look like full-time employment. So what we want your students to be doing now is to really be thinking about what works for them, not what works for their best friend, not what works for their sister. This is where we really want them to take the time to think about what they like, what they don't like, and try to focus in on the stuff that they are interested in. Additional things they need to be thinking about are, if they're thinking about college, how far away do they want it to be? How much money is that going to cost? Does it need a certain major there? Does it need a certain sport there? They need to think about what's important to them. To piggyback on the how much it's going to cost part, this is also a fantastic time for you to start having those financial conversations at home in terms of affordability. I don't know anyone who can pay for college straight up the whole thing in one fell swoop. So talking to your students about what a loan is and what that means for them in terms of paying it back later can maybe help drive their process when they're looking into colleges also. I want to talk a little bit about the two-year college option. This could be a public option, it could be a private option, it could be like a hands-on training technical program. There are a lot of different opportunities out there for our students. There are many public community colleges that have articulation agreements with four-year colleges. You'll hear a little bit about that shortly in the mass transfer program, but it is an excellent opportunity for students. It provides a nice seamless transition from the first 2 years of college to the next 2 years of college if they have four-year college plans. Additionally, we do have some on-site opportunities with Bristol Community College. They're right around the corner in Attleboro, so we do a lot of work with them. They also have fantastic dual enrollment opportunities for students. Sometimes students can take a class on a campus. They can take a class over the summer. Sometimes we offer some on-site here at the high school. It's a fantastic opportunity for students to try to get a little bit of college expectations cleared up for them, but also gets a little bit of college credit under their belt before they start applying elsewhere. To talk a little bit more about that mass transfer program, we have Ms. McDonald.
Hi, I'm Ms. McDonald. I'm House 2 Guidance Counselor. As Ms. Janowski mentioned, I'm going to be speaking to you about the Mass Transfer Program. So, as Ms. Janowski mentioned, there are two-year college opportunities, private and public, and the important takeaway is from a two-year college, from any two-year college, private or public, going on to a four-year college is definitely possible and a popular choice. The Mass Transfer Program is specifically our public community colleges working in partnership with our public state universities and our UMasses. So it's a program that really bridges that gap between those two schools. Essentially, a student would start off at a local community college. The local one around here is Bristol Community College. Massasoit Community College isn't too far away. So a student can start there in a specific block of courses for 2 years, and though that block of courses is guaranteed to transfer to the UMass or state university of their choice. So it really is an excellent opportunity to utilize, because a student is getting starting in this program, a student is getting their bachelor's degree in 4 years, just as if you started at that four-year college. So it really is something to take advantage of. Some benefits: if you graduate in that 2-year block of courses with B or better, your guaranteed admission into the state university or UMass of your choice. And also a lot of colleges are going to offer a tuition break on that. So it's almost like a scholarship with that. So lots of benefits. A lot of students will choose to go this path for a lot of different reasons. One, they don't really know what they want to study, so that they don't want to pay the 4-year college price to figure it out. Two, maybe their GPA at this point after high school is not particularly what 4-year colleges need to see. Or three, they really don't have the finances to finance a 4-year college right out of the gate. So for whatever reason, this mass transfer program is something to take advantage of. In fact, Ms. Little mentioned the Bridgewater presentation that we hosted in February. It was mentioned, the idea of earning a $30K bachelor's degree, it kind of sounds, if you look at tuition prices, it kind of sounds outrageous to be able to get that bachelor's degree for $30K. But starting at a community college is actually the way to do it and can really be done. So something to look into. In speaking of our public college system, so the state universities, our UMasses, they do have specific graduation requirements. So they are looking for a 3.0 GPA. So on R, we use a 100-point GPA scale. On our scale, that's an 83. So this doesn't guarantee admission. This just makes you eligible for admission. And that's something that's pretty important to keep in mind, because some of our state schools, UMass Amherst in particular, can get pretty competitive from year to year. So a 3.0 is what they're looking for. This is their standard. If you were to look at all the GPAs of all incoming freshmen at all the state universities and UMasses in our state, you would see that not all of them had exactly that 3.0. And what these state schools use, it's called a sliding scale with SATs. So essentially, the lower your GPA is, the higher your SAT would need to be. So, and if you kind of meet that combination of sliding scale, you meet the admission eligibility. Again, it doesn't guarantee admission, but it just makes you eligible for it. And then if a GPA is falling below a 2.0, our state school system and our UMasses, they cannot accept a GPA below a 2.0. And again, and that's where that mass transfer program really comes in handy there as well. So that's a quick snapshot of that mass transfer, our state school system. Before we switch gears, Ms. Synan is going to be coming up to talk about a little more in-depth 4-year colleges. I did just want to mention playing sports in college. This is important for a lot of our students. We have a lot of student athletes here, which is awesome. If a student is interested in playing a Division I or II sport, they do need to get cleared. NCAA needs to academically clear them. So what that means is, one, they need to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center. We recommend students do that around sophomore or junior year. By registering, this is going to automatically get your student's transcript sent to the NCAA at the end of junior year and at the end of senior year. And what the NCAA just needs to make sure that they are meeting the required GPA, which for Division I is a 2.3, Division II is a 2.2 GPA. And they need to make sure that you are taking the required classes. So most of our classes at Attleboro are NCAA cleared. If you have any question about this, you definitely want to include your guidance counselor. Course selection time is actually kind of taking place right now. We definitely encourage all students to let their guidance counselor know if they are planning on playing a sport in college, and that's something that we'll ensure that students are taking all those NCAA eligible courses. And the last thing you want to do, SATs are offered for our juniors. We generally recommend the May or the June test date. When you register for the SATs, you can choose 4 colleges to receive your scores. Maybe you don't know where you are applying it, so you don't want to send them to any scores yet. Go ahead and send them to the NCAA if you're thinking of playing an NCAA sport, Division 1 or 2. The code is super simple, 9999, so 4 nines, and that will just satisfy one requirement that the NCAA is looking for. So now Ms. Simon will be coming up here and talking to you about four-year colleges.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Sinan, one of the House 3 guidance counselors, and so I'm going to talk to you about four-year colleges. Right at this point, students should be looking to generate a list of colleges that meet their criteria. So as Mrs. Janalski said, you want to be thinking about things that are a good fit for you, for our students themselves, not necessarily for an older cousin or their significant other. We want to make sure that it's a good match for the students themselves. So thinking about the major, the size of the college, the distance from home, other programs and supports that the college might offer to be a good fit. Students can use Naviance, or they can use the College Board to do a college search and come up with a list of schools that meet their criteria. We want the schools to fall into one of 3 categories, and so those are reach, match, or realistic, and safety schools. The reach school is the dream college, the one that they would love to go to if they could be accepted. Maybe their GPA is not quite what the college is looking for, or maybe it's just a little bit out of reach financially. We want students to apply to those colleges because sometimes they do get in, and sometimes the financial aid lines up and it's all beautiful things. So do apply to a reach college if it's something that your student really wants. We want the bulk of the students' applications to go to match or realistic schools, those schools that the students have done their research into. They know their GPA is in the range of acceptable GPAs. They have talked with you about the finances and realized that with financial aid, this is a college that they could afford. Okay, so the bulk of their applications next fall should go to schools that fall into that category. Then we do want some schools that are in the safety category. So these, again, where you've done your research and know that you can be accepted based on your GPA, that you can afford to attend that school. So there's academic safety schools and there's financial safety schools. And for many of our students, Bristol Community College falls into both of those categories because you have to be able to graduate from high school to get in, no GPA required. And the tuition costs are about $7,000 a year, which is a lot of money, yes, but in the terms of the grand scheme of colleges, it's very, very affordable when you're talking about $40,000 and up per year sometimes. So we want students to have that range of colleges that are going to get their applications in the fall. We want students to do their research, to know their deadlines, when are they going to have to apply, to know their requirements, what do they have to submit, what kind of GPA do they need to have in order to be accepted. They're going to run into terms in the admission process, particularly for deadlines, such as early action, early decision, rolling admission. I do want to highlight early action and early decision. These are 2 very different programs, although they sound similar. Both of them have an early deadline, usually November, for students to submit their applications, but early decision is a binding process. So a student applies early decision, they're basically entering into a contract with that college to say that if you accept me, I will enroll at your school in September. And that's not to be undertaken lightly. So you do have to have those conversations. Students, families, guidance, we all need to be on the same page and know that you understand what you're getting into if you apply early decision. I've been a guidance counselor for 12 years now, and I've had maybe half a dozen students apply early decision. So again, not something that should be undertaken lightly. Early action, on the other hand, has all the benefits of applying early decision, but none of the contractual obligations. So you apply early, you're notified early whether you're accepted or not, and then students have until May 1st of their senior years to decide if they do want to attend that school, and they can entertain other offers from other colleges as well. Okay. Rolling admission in this process simply means that colleges will accept applications until their programs are full. So the risk with the rolling admission is that if you wait too long to apply, your program might not have space in it, or housing might not have space in it. So applying early is never a bad thing. In the process of researching and applying, you do want to visit colleges. That campus visit can be really helpful to figure out if this is a good fit for you and your student. Interviews are also really helpful. They're not generally something to be scared of. Usually it's called an informational interview or an informal interview. And it's a way for the college to get to know the students in a way that they don't necessarily from the application paperwork. Sometimes there are things called optional interviews or an optional essay or optional, you name it. In the world of college admissions, if your student wants to be accepted to that college, there is no such thing as optional. Okay, you do need to go the extra mile to set yourself apart, and that includes submitting anything that the college terms optional. Okay, taking advantage of as many opportunities as possible. This year, there's the SAT or the ACT, which is always required, but this year, because of COVID and the restrictions and the availability of testing, or the lack of availability of testing, SATs and ACTs are falling into that optional category. So we're advising students to try their best to register for the SAT and ACT, if they can't, to not stress about it. If their scores are not great, not stress about that either, because many colleges are shifting their focus away from that standardized testing component and leaning more heavily on GPA, strength of schedule, including honors and AP courses, and recommendations, resumes, extracurriculars, and things like that when they can. To just quickly address SATs and ACTs, there are two different tests. Colleges will accept either or, so we want students to choose whatever's most convenient for them. The SAT covers reading, math, and writing. Their testing essay is optional. The top score is 1,600 on the SAT. On the ACT, it tests reading, English, math, and science. There is an optional essay component as well. That maximum score is 36. Colleges know how to convert one to the other, so they can compare. If you have a student who tests both, that's fine. If they just want to choose one or the other, that's fine too. For both of them, the cost is upwards of $50. So if you have a student who's on free or reduced lunch, please send them to see their guidance counselor, because we have fee waivers that we can give to them so that they don't need to necessarily pay that cost. And using a fee waiver for testing then later translates into using a fee waiver for application fees. So we're going to save you lots of money just by that little conversation. Okay. And if you have a student who's maybe qualified for a free or reduced lunch but didn't actually do the paperwork, it's not too late for that either. Again, come see us and let us know how we can help. Either way, if your student does take the SAT or the ACT, they want to have their scores sent to their colleges through College Board or the ACT testing company. As Ms. McDonald pointed out, if a student is doing the NCAA, they should send their scores there as well, so they can be determined if they're eligible. One other thing about the applications, students, as they are looking into the process of applying, need to determine if the college accepts the common application, which is an application you fill out once and submit to multiple colleges, or if they don't participate with that, how they can submit the individual college application. And oftentimes it's available, very simple to find, on the college's admissions page. So just another bit of research that needs to be done. And then in terms of financial aid, when students are applying for that, there are a couple of different forms. Most colleges require just the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. Some, mostly private colleges, would require the CSS profile, which is another slightly more invasive form for financial aid, but we can talk you through that. We're going to have financial aid information sessions in the fall to help you with that process. And so before I turn things over to Ms. Gerald, I just want to address a couple other testing things that you might see in the application and admission process. So the first is the Accuplacer. That's required for many colleges as a placement test. So once students are accepted and enroll, they'll use the Accuplacer to determine where they need to take, what English courses and what math courses they need to take. It's also required for some of our dual enrollment courses. So if you have somebody who's enrolling in Bristol Community College while still in high school, they might be required to take the Accuplacer. There is also the Toefl, which is the test of English as a foreign language. This is something that students whose first language or native language is not English can investigate. They might want to take that, especially if they're going directly to a four-year college. So that's a conversation they should have with their guidance counselor, who will probably send them over to my partner in House 3, Mrs. Janulski, because she's our TOEFL guru. So have that conversation. And then the last test we want to talk about is the Asvab, which is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, and that's required for enlistment in the military. And also a good tool for students who are looking to do some college career searching, rather. And so that's available as well. We offer that twice a year. We will offer that again in December, and then again in the spring of the student's senior year. So that being said, I'm going to turn things over to Miss Gerald, and she's going to tell you about Naviance.
Hi everyone, my name is Lakeisha Gerald. I'm one of 2 guidance counselors in House 1. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about Naviance. Naviance is one of our biggest resources here at Attleboro High School, and the great thing about it is all of our students have access to this website. This is sort of a space where you can figure out what you want to do, whether or not you want to do the college track, the career track, or the military track. There are so many different things that you can do. First, starting, you can think about admissions data. Our Naviance account will show you admissions data specific for Attleboro High School. So if you are one student, you get a chance to see different colleges around the U.S. and how and where our students sort of fell in line with other students around the U.S. Also, you'll be able to sort of take different assessments. You can take assessments about careers. If you don't know what you want to do, there's an assessment called Do What You Are. And you can do that, and it will match your interests, your activities, and your personality to a career path or even a college career, or college degree that will match the things that you like, which I like that one. Yes. So if you haven't already, we've been using this throughout your junior group planning meetings and even when we sit down one-on-one to have our junior one-on-one meetings. And parents, you all also have access to this website as well. You can see which colleges your child has been interested in, the different assessments they've completed, and you can also nudge your child into applying to the school that you may have attended as well. This is also a place where you guys can help us, your child's guidance counselor, by filling out your parent brag sheet. Sometimes your information is crucial to us writing the best recommendations for your child. Sometimes you know about how your child loved ballet or baseball since they were 7, and that will help to beef up their recommendations from us. You will receive an email in the near future that has all the login information you need for Naviance, and if you don't hear from us soon, you can just email your guidance counselor directly, and we'll definitely be able to send that information towards you. If the workforce is your choice, we definitely have all the resources for that as well beyond Naviance. We have a school to career office and Miss Kristen Marshall, and that's located in B3 in our cafeteria. She is able to offer and help with resume writing. She can help find jobs for you now and in the future. She will also help with interviewing, so we can do mock interviews. Your guidance counselor or even Miss Marshall can do mock interviews with you to get you prepared for either that college interview or that career interview. And also ask for references. You can ask for references from your guidance counselor, teachers, or anybody a part of the community that can offer more information about you. So it's super important if you're thinking about the career path or even thinking about working in this summer, it's a great opportunity to work with Ms. Marshall and your teachers and your guidance counselors to get more references and recommendations. Please, please, please be proactive in this process. You are the driver in this, and we sit in the passenger seat to offer you support. Please maintain your grades, attendance, keep discipline to a minimum, and also anything that you need from us, we're here to support. And if you're thinking about things beyond the workforce, Ms. Boyle is going to talk to you a little bit more about the military.
Hi, I'm Miss Boyle. I am the other half of the House 1 guidance counselors. I know that this night has been pretty heavy on the college talk, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the military. We do have plenty of students that take the military route. We also have plenty of students who take the military route in terms of going to a military college. So we want you to know that we offer as many supports to those students as we do to our students going the traditional four-year college route. One of the first things that you should know about if you're interested in the military is thinking about taking the Asvab. The Asvab, like Ms. Simon said before, stands for the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. This is a really great tool, even if you're not necessarily super interested in the military, to get to know yourself a little bit better. This can help you to explore some of your interests, maybe some of your strengths, and what you want to do for your life after high school. So that's one of the most important and key things that you want to think about taking if you are thinking about the military route. We do offer the ASVAB here at Attleboro High School, one time usually in the winter and another time usually as it nears the springtime. We actually just administered it very recently here at Attleboro High School. So listen for announcements, look for emails about the ASVAB if you are at all interested in the military route. While talking about the military route, it's important to note that we have access to all the different types of representatives from all of the different branches of the military, so we are more than happy to help facilitate any sort of conversation between you and any different branch of the military. As I mentioned previously, we also have plenty of students that think about going to some sort of a military college. We have students that are applying there now. One of the most important things for those students, and I can't stress this enough, is starting the process early. You want to make sure that you start this process during your junior year. One of the big things that you will have to do is reach out to a state representative. There's lots of information on Elizabeth Warren's site, on Ed Markey's site about this endorsement process, but this is something that you are going to strongly want to think about starting now. Like I said, we've got a lot of information on the military process. Please let us know if this is part of your plan. Please let us know if you are thinking about a military college as well. As some of the other guidance counselors had alluded to, we do have a lot of upcoming events. We do have a lot of events that will take place during the start of your senior year. I think if COVID has given us anything good, it's given us a lot of access to virtual events with virtual admissions counselors, virtual military representatives. So there's a lot more access available to students at this point. Of course, we don't know what next year will hold. I'm optimistic that, we are going to have more in-person events. But you should be looking for emails about your junior group meetings. Those are happening now. It's been really awesome to get to know your students. And then your junior will also have the opportunity to meet with us before the end of this coming school year. So please encourage your student, touch base with them. Have you heard from your guidance counselor? Have you gone to your junior group meeting? Because they've definitely heard from us at this point about facilitating those meetings. Attleboro also typically hosts a college and career fair in the fall. That's something that we really look forward to and that our students get a lot out of every single year. Of course, this year has been a little bit different, but we're cautiously optimistic that hopefully this is something that we can have next year. Like I mentioned before, those individual college and military visits that come here, sometimes they are in person in a typical year, other times they can be virtual like they have been this year. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback, and a lot of students have been able to obtain information about schools that maybe they've never really considered before. Typically, there is a financial aid night. Sometimes it's in person. This past year, it was virtually. It is offered in English and Spanish, which is awesome to give more of our students the right information in terms of filling out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. That will typically take place in the fall, so definitely listen for that. And in addition to that, College Board also hosts some different kinds of college fairs in the springtime that we do send information out to each of your students about that. I want to thank you for coming tonight, and I want to thank you for listening to our presentation. Please, please, please have your child reach out with any questions. We are always available by phone call, by email, and for more information, you can also see our Twitter page. It's at AHS Guidance News, where you can get a lot of updates and information about that. But as always, please feel free to reach out. We are always here, and we are here to help answer all of your questions. Have a great night.